What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, the results of the 2025 Masters Mr. Olympia. Very interesting and a little bit surprising results here. So Dorian Haywood wound up picking up the win. Phil Clahar ended up in second. Domenico Intermaggio ended up in third. Todd Whitting in fourth, and Ray Short in fifth. And I'll tell you why this is surprising. Take a look at these scorecards, man. This is a really interesting scorecard. So if you look at this, Phil Clahar was essentially dominating prejudging. He was winning, and it looks like nobody was even close to him at prejudging. He had a score of 6. The next closest score was 11. So he was leading by 5 points at prejudging. And the other interesting thing here is Domenico Intermaggio at prejudging was in second. Dorian Haywood, who won, was in third at prejudging, and he was behind Phil Clahar by 8 full points and a placing in between them. Now, I can't remember the last time I saw a point swing this big, somebody coming from third to winning the show. Dorian went from 14 points at prejudging in third place to 5 points at finals, even beating Phil Clahar's prejudging first place score. But even more interesting, Phil Clahar dropped to third place in the finals. He had a score of 14, and Domenico had a score of 11, so Domenico was still getting votes for second in the finals, and Phil was actually getting votes for third, making it a 1-point decision between him and Dorian of a final score of 19-20. One of the more interesting scorecards I've seen in a long time. I can't remember the last time we saw somebody come from third in prejudging to winning the show, especially when at the prejudging it wasn't close. I mean, relatively it wasn't close. Phil Clahar had 6. The 2 closest guys to him were in the double digits. I mean, he had a commanding lead. He was winning commandingly at prejudging. And then it had to be like the perfect alignment of the stars for Dorian, because not only would Dorian have to have gotten better significantly, gotten tighter or something to improve his score all the way to 5, which beats, I mean, it's crazy. So not only would he have had to get that much better, but Phil Clahar also had to have gotten exactly that much worse for Dorian to win. So even though Dorian got essentially a perfect score at finals for a perfect win, that would not have been enough to win the show unless Phil Clahar drastically dropped placings like he did. So if you look at the finals comparison here, they did change the background a little bit. I don't think it looked as bad. Whether they changed the lighting or the background was a little different. I think the lighting looked a little bit better. It was a little bit easier to see here. And I think obviously the strong point that Dorian has going for him is his lower body is more filled out than Phil Clahar, and I think he's a little bit fuller overall, even in the upper body than Phil. If you look at his delts, you look at his chest, he was pretty full, but the thing was at prejudging, and I still kind of felt this at the finals, is he just looked a little soft overall. And he did look tighter at the finals. You can see that in this finals comparison. But the thing that really surprised me was Phil Clahar getting a much worse score. Like, he didn't just get a second-place score at the finals. He got a third-place score. I don't think Phil looked that much different than he looked at the prejudging. I do think that Dorian looked better, a little bit harder, not as soft. But I really think Phil looked pretty similar to how he looked at prejudging. And if he was winning at prejudging, it surprises me to go from a score of 6 to a score of 14. And even at Phil's age, I mean, if you look at him hit those back poses, I mean, those back shots are just always his bread and butter shots. He's got an insane back. So definitely very interesting stuff. I'm surprised by this one, honestly. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. And let me know if you can think of another example of third place at prejudging moving up to first. I just can't think of one off the top of my head. But that in combination with the point swing, what was the biggest point swing you guys can remember in like recent bodybuilding history? Because improving by 9 points from prejudging to finals to win the show is about as big of a comeback as I can remember in a long time. So congratulations to Dorian Haywood. He really pulled it off here for the biggest upset victory I can remember in years. And I'm actually looking through Dorian's contest history right now, and as an open bodybuilder, he had actually never won an open pro show. at least not one that's showing up in his contest history. So this is actually his first. He did win a Masters show, the Daytona Pro, last year, but this is his first big win, winning a Masters Olympia title. Pretty impressive first title. The Daytona Pro last year he won, which was a Masters show, but still, this is a pretty big win for someone that never won an Open Pro show. Now, next up in the news, 9 weeks out from the 2025 Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford posting a series of physique updates today with the caption, "Morning check-ins, if I told you my weight, you wouldn't even believe me." Showing an abs and thighs, a front relaxed, and a double bicep pose here. And say what you will about Derek. I know that Derek has been getting a lot of hate lately, especially with this back and forth that he's been having with Nick Walker, but the silhouette that Derek has is just insane. I mean, you look at that abs and thighs, look at the taper, the lats going into the waist, and then flaring back out, the size of his quads. He's got just an insane bodybuilding silhouette. And I think that structure is a big part of why he won that first Olympia title, why he won this year's Arnold Classic. Again, as much hate as he gets, the guy has an insane structure. Now let's go to the controversial one. I know there's been a lot of commentary recently on Derek Lunsford's biceps, specifically his bicep peaks, which I mean, I understand to an extent. Derek does not have the most impressive biceps. They're not the most defined. They're not the most peaked. But I think overall, it's really mostly just genetics that his peaks are shaped that way. I know people have speculated, is it synthol? Is it an oil thing? Why is there not a whole lot of separation in the biceps? Whatever. I think it's just genetics. But if you look at Derek in the overall front double bicep pose, if he had better peaked biceps, I think he would be almost unbeatable in this pose. Because even though it's called the double bicep pose, the whole body is being judged here. And if you look at, again, Derek's taper in this pose, the big lats flaring out to the small waist, coming back out to the bigger legs, just the shape of Derek's physique in the front double bicep, everything else in this pose is almost perfect. The biceps are actually the weak point of the pose for him. But the rest of his physique is so strong in this pose. I mean, this is what makes Derek dangerous, even a weak point like the biceps. The rest of the pose showing off of the biceps, the rest of the physique, I think is pretty much almost perfect in this pose. And I think if you put it side by side with the most recent front double bicep from Nick Walker, Nick has kind of the opposite situation. He has really, really good biceps in this pose, but the rest of his body doesn't flow nearly as well as Derek. So they kind of complement each other well in this pose. It's a double biceps pose. Nick has better biceps. Derek has the better overall flow with the rest of his physique in that pose. So they're a really good match in that pose. Now imagine Derek with Nick's biceps or Nick with Derek's structure and vice versa. It would create like an unstoppable bodybuilder in this pose. I think it's a really interesting comparison. And I think there's a lot of people looking forward to the Nick versus Derek rivalry, seeing it fully realized at the Olympia this year. Who do you guys think is going to come out on top? And not even just who do you guys think is going to come out on top. Who do you guys want to come out on top? I'm curious who has the bigger fan base right now, especially seeing some of the hate that Derek got. Are there more Nick Walker fans that think and want him to win? Or are there more Derek Lunsford fans that think and want him to win? Because looking at some of the comment sections that I've looked at lately, it doesn't seem like a lot of people really like Derek, which again kind of surprises me. Because when I look at his physique update, even the front double bicep pose, which people have been very critical of his biceps, and again, I agree, he obviously does not have the best biceps. But even still, he looks very dangerous in a pose that showcases maybe his weakest body part. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below about Derek Lunsford at 9 weeks out. Now, the final story that I've got for you guys today, if you're a Quint Beastwood fan, you'd be happy to hear that he is not done competing and he's still going to be qualifying or attempting to qualify for the 2025 Olympia this year. He says that he's coming to Europe. According to Beyond the Stage TV, this was the quote, "I'm coming to Europe, I'm not done." Now, this could mean several different shows. Looking at the pro schedule, it looks like there's 3 more shows before the Olympia in the open class that are Olympia qualifiers. You've got Italy, which is September 7th. You've also got the Europa Pro Championships in Offenbach, Germany. That's September 14th. Then you've got the Tsunami Pro in France, September 27th, which is the show that Samson Dauda did last year. So in Italy, or I'm sorry, in September, 3 shows in Europe that are qualifiers for this year's Mr. Olympia. I don't know if the Tsunami Pro, I'll have to check. Let me look here. Okay, yeah, so I was right about this. The Tsunami Pro is outside of the window. So the Tsunami Pro is not for 2025. It's a qualifier for 2026. The qualification deadline for the 2025 Mr. Olympia ends on September 14th. So that would mean there's only 2 opportunities then for Quinton to try to qualify for this year's Olympia. He could do the Tsunami show if he wants to qualify for next year. But as far as this year, it looks like the Italy show and the Europa show are probably the only 2 options. Italy is September 7th. That's before the deadline. Europa Pro is September 14th. That is the last day of the deadline to qualify for the Mr. Olympia this year. So not very many opportunities left to qualify for the Open Olympia. But if you are a fan of Quint Beastwood's physique, it looks like we have not seen the last of him for this competitive season. And I'm excited to see more. Hopefully we can see him really put together a dominant package. Obviously this weekend didn't go the way he wanted it to go. I just finished watching his show day vlog on YouTube. You can check out his channel. His channel name is just Quint Beastwood. But it was kind of sad to watch because this was obviously filmed before the results of the show came out. And he seemed pretty confident and pretty calm in between the prejudging and the finals. It seemed like he was pretty optimistic going into the finals. And it sounded like at the halfway point of the video, he did kind of acknowledge, I think this is what he was talking about. He said something happened at prejudging that could be nothing, could be a big deal, but I'm going to try not to worry about it. I think he was talking about that part at the very end of prejudging where they moved Quinton to the outside. So aside from that, which he did acknowledge in the video of the show day, it did seem like he was pretty confident going into the finals. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.